Let you go, Lang. How about that? First, it's really hard to win in the Big 12, and we give God glory and honor when we win and lose. We got a culture of joy, Jesus, others, yourself. And I will say Central Florida hospitality has been amazing. Their staff has been great to work with, and obviously they're having a big impact in the Big 12. So why we're the best conference in the country is because everybody's contribution. And I hope Coach Dawkins gets his 300th win. I just didn't want it tonight. Lang, why don't we get you questions and I'll go.
Question for Langston Love.
Langston, just kind of talking about how you were able to withstand UCF made their runs in the first half. I know they were shorthanded a little bit, but how you were able to hang in there and pull out the win.
First we just want to thank God just for being here. We've been on a tough little stretch, but as long as you stay the course, just know the Lord has a plan for you. We can get through anything. But just as far as UCF, they're a tough team. When they were on their runs, we knew they were going to make some runs, but we talking about just embracing the moment and embracing the pressure, And this team's a strong team, and we just fought to the end.
You mentioned tough stretch for the team. What was key to bouncing back tonight, especially after that last tough loss?
Just staying together, staying tough. Tough teams, the teams that aren't tough, they're full in those moments. Start pointing fingers. We knew as long as we were together, we have God on our side, that anything could happen.
UCF got off to a really strong start in the first half, and Darius shooting off the lights. How did you guys lock in defensively in the second half?
We just knew there was 20 more minutes. 20 more minutes for us to show them and give them our best, and that's what we did. We just made the tough plays, got the loose balls, got the rebounds, and then we ended up closing it out.
Obviously, your first time playing here in this arena. What did you just think of the crowd atmosphere tonight?
I love it. It's a great atmosphere, nice court, nice arena. UCF has something great going here.
How much faith do you have in the defense being able to force 16 turnovers, I think 8 in each half, knowing that they're shooting so well? How much faith do you have to keep in the defense to make comeback like you guys did tonight?
We just got tough guys that embrace the moment. That's all. That's all it takes. We're going to make the tough plays, get on the floor, and just give it extra effort. And that's all we had to do.
You guys are coming off a tough stretch, especially last time out, triple overtime game. Just kind of what was the team's mindset, facing a 3-game losing streak and knowing that you figured this was like a must-win game for you guys?
They're one-possession games. We just knew that we had to close it out when we came here. It's the Big 12. I think over half of the games come down to one possession, and we learned a lot. 3 games in a row we learned. So we knew that coming down here, we were just going to have to close the game out.
How physical would you say UCF's defense was tonight?
They're physical. They got a big, long team. The guys are strong, but, it's just a battle, so we were prepared.
Anything else for Langston? All right. Thank you, Langston.
Questions? Yes, some good ones to Langston, so maybe you guys are done.
Coach, it was about 6.5 minutes left into the game when you guys really took control and found a way to win it at the end. What did you see as the big difference in those moments? Because UCF was in control for a majority of that game.
Well, I think our experience is that the last 3 games where, we won for 3 possessions, we could be ranked first, second, or third in the nation right now. That's the parity in this league. That's parity in college basketball. So 3 possessions from being a top 3 team. And we just had to keep getting better. And tonight, I think we showed some improvement in some areas.
Coach, what about changing defenses in the first half and then in the second half at clutch points and your kids pulled through?
Well, I think in the beginning of the game they were shooting so well we had to do something different. So to try to get them out of rhythm, and I didn't stop them, but it slowed them down to where we could at least get it back into reasonable distance. And again, credit them. I think they've surprised people nationally, not coaches. We know Coach Dawkins is a great coach, runs a great program, but nationally, I know when they've had some wins, people have been like, "Wow, that's." But we know how good they are and what a good program they have.
You mentioned it, the kind of the poise and having to kind of find a way to slow them down. What does it say about this defense that they were able to kind of stick with it, continue forcing turnovers, and keep themselves in the game even though they're trailing the
I
whole
think
way?
they're really active. They're really aggressive. Do a great job causing turnovers, and I think sometimes that helps you to be aggressive. If you got people swiping at you, it makes you want to swipe. So again, they're really a good defensive team, and maybe that inspired or motivated or helped us.
What did you think of a player like Darius Johnson and his performance tonight?
Man, we knew he was good, but first half he looked like the best player in college basketball because we had no answers for him. And we gave him one or two that were easy, but the rest, I mean, he made tough shots. And I know he's a really good person, so.
Obviously, a lot of attention on Jacoby Walter this season.
Yeah.
Limited to just one field goal. Was it something UCF was doing defensively that make it difficult for him?
I think one of Jacoby's biggest strengths is he came off a game where he was 2 for 12. And some people would think, I'm top 5 on the draft boards. I got to come in and I got to make up for it. And Jacoby's about winning. And today they focused on him, and he did a great job taking what the defense got and didn't. The 2 for 12 game, he had some good looks, and we want him to always shoot shots, and they're not always going to go in, but he got to the line 5 out of 6 times, got 3 steals, so he found other ways to help us win.
Earlier you mentioned UCF opening some eyes with some of their wins. What do you think UCF brings to this league?
Nice weather, first of all. But no, it's a great market, and coaches know more about coaches and programs than that's our job, and we know what a great program this is gonna be in the future and is now, and I think the rest of the world's just finding out, So, and they're a really good team, which everyone is nationally finding out too. And sometimes you got to play teams to have a chance to show that, and that's what the Big 12 gives you. And that's why it's so important, our non-conference for everybody, because if we all do our job in the non-conference, then there's no bad losses when we get to conference. And I think all us coaches really pull for each other in the non-conference and want us all to get off to great starts for a big reason.
You had 8 turnovers in the first half, and then in the second half, you guys came out. You looked a little more calmer, like with your passes. What's being said in the locker room to try to get the guys to settle in more?
Well, we said pass to the guys in green and not the ones in white. That helped, but I just think we got used to the pressure a little more. And first half, again, they're top 10 defense in the country for a reason: size, length, athleticism, aggressiveness. And I think we did a good job as we got used to it, taking better care of it.
You all got to the free throw line 25 times tonight, more in the second half than anything. Did you see something during halftime that there was a way to attack and try to draw fouls in the paint?
Well, I mean, they press. And when you press, if you're going to attack it, you're going to either have threes or you're getting to the rim. And then half-court defense, they do such a great job helping. And I thought our guys were really good at being patient, making the extra pass to where we were able to attack and drive and do some things. And in our 3 losses, we probably settled too much, and I thought we were in a lot more attack mode today.
Yeah, I was going to add one more question. Johnny's talked a little bit about, obviously, the first season in the Big 12 is playing every game is like playing in the NCAA tournament. What makes this league so special, and you guys are able to week in and week out, game in, game out, have these kind of games?
Well, I think first because the students and the fans, they appreciate great basketball, so it make it really tough to win on the road. And it's easy. I mean, like Super Bowl, it doesn't matter who's playing in it. People are showing up. And when you're playing in the Big 12, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's a big game. People are showing up. And it makes it hard to win on the road. And that really helps. You have a great home fan base because they love to be entertained with great high-level basketball, number one. And then number 2, as far as I think the media, the exposure that the Big 12 gets, because, again, we do our job in the non-conference, which sets you up to be the best conference, which sets you up to marquee matchups, which gets you national TV. And then all us coaches make a deal with TV that every game is going to be 1 possession or overtime. And they pay for our physical at the beginning of the year, and we're good with it. Thank you, guys.
Darius Johnson.
Darius, you guys got off to such a hot start and just, maintain a lead for much of the second half. Things started to fall apart and fade away late in that second half. Just talk about what happened there at the very end. What do you think happened?
I feel like we had too many miscues on defense. We gave up way too many threes. I want to say they were 9 for 20 for 3. So that's the game right there. And from the free throw line, they shot 25 free throws. We shot 7. So that's the difference in the ball game right there.
Darius, you came out red hot, hit a bunch of shots early on. What was it that you kind of were feeling? Was it just something if you were feeling about their shots falling, or something the defense was giving you?
No, I'm just trusting in my worth ethic. Coaches put the trust in me. My teammates have trust in me. So I just got to put my best foot forward and go out and compete every night at the highest level.
All right, 2 straight games now where you got a pretty good lead at half. What stings most about the way these games have ended?
It just comes down to our execution at the end of the game. We have to be better offensively executing, and we have to take more focus into our defense. I feel like we had too many miscues, too many offensive rebounds, and too many late threes at the end of the game.
In a close game like this, when you look at the stats and see like only 1 free throw made, how much does that sting?
That hurts a lot. It's 1 free throw, so what's that? 1 for 7, so that's 6 points right there. I mean, it was at one point it was a 6-point game. So if we make all our free throws, it's a tie game.
You guys had 16 turnovers this game. What was wrong offensively? Where were the miscues?
We just got to take care of the ball. It all come down to execution, like our coaches always tell us. If we keep under 10 turnovers, we'll be in every ball game. So that's 6 possessions right there that we missed out on.
Despite the loss, you did crack the top 10 in career assists at UCF. How does that make you feel?
I don't care. I'd rather win.
What did they do that led to those miscues?
I feel like they're very active on defense. They keep their we haven't really faced a team that's mixed their defense up as much as them. So I feel like that was something a little bit new to us. They have a lot of length out there on the court, which I think bothered us a little bit. But we'll watch film and get better from it.
You guys only 7 free throw attempts the entire game, and Baylor I think was in the bonus pretty early in the second half. Do you feel like that was a missed opportunity, maybe not forcing the issue and getting to the line more?
Yeah, that's definitely something. I think we were in the bonus at like 14 to 12 minutes left, so I feel like that's definitely a letdown right there. I feel like we should put more pressure on the defense and their bigs to get to the free throw line.
Baylor's coach Scott Drew was in here saying that they feel like they're 3 plays away from being the #1 team in the country. I'm sure you guys maybe feel the same way, that you're a couple plays from being where you want to be within the conference. Is one of the things that your guys are learning is how narrow the margins are within the Big 12?
Yeah, the margin is very narrow. We actually talked about it today. We're very close, but that last little bit is going to be the hardest little bit for us. So we just have to fight through and persevere through it.
You keep bringing up the defensive effort, the miscues that you guys are having on those lapses. A lot of times, Roman's open. You guys aren't switching out there in the paint. They doubled you guys up essentially 30 points in the paint. What do you want to see from you guys doing a much better job of, communicating defensively?
I feel like, we wanted to limit their threes, but obviously we didn't do a good job of that. So I feel like they opened the paint up a little bit more for them to get opportunities. We'll be able to watch film and see where the mishaps happen, but that was one of our biggest things, make sure we tag the rollers because they like to hit the roller.
After a tough loss like this, how big does the upcoming Oklahoma game become for you guys?
It's a big game. We lost at home today, so we don't want to lose 2 in a row, definitely not 3 in a row. So.
Do you feel like they did anything defensively that switched up how you guys played offensively in the second half?
I feel like they mixed their defense up, going a little bit zone to man, which probably threw our offense off a little bit. But at the end of the day, we still have to just execute.
Darius, I know you only care about getting the win, but personally for you, this was a big bounce-back game. After a couple games you struggled, 23 points, 10 assists. Like, how did you feel out there? Do you kind of feel like you're getting your rhythm back?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm getting my rhythm back. The past 2 games haven't been who I am, and this game wouldn't define who I am. I'm going to be somewhere in between that margin. So, I just want to look forward to getting better and coming out with wins.
Jaylin, for the second straight game, it seems like the game is in grasp, and you just last few minutes of the game just can't pull it out. Just kind of what's the feeling, losing close games like this?
It's stressful, honestly. With us having the games with like the last 6 minutes, last 4 minutes, and then we ain't closing them out. We ain't executing down the stretch, or we ain't executing on defense down the stretch. So it's stressful. It's most definitely stressful.
They had 25 free throws tonight. What was going on with you guys defensively? Why were there fouls?
I feel like they had us scrambling. They got us on a couple sucker plays where we closed out or we wasn't in our right defensive stands. Our head wasn't on the swivel, so that's why I think all the fouls and things came from.
What do you think you guys have to do to close out games? You've talked about it throughout the year, needing to put two halves together, and you've been dissatisfied with that. What do you think is going to be the difference that allows you to close it out?
I just think he's going to fall back on our leaders. You know, with me being one of the leaders, we got to be able to close out games. Regardless of who we playing, we got to be able to close out games. As far as us having older players and things like that, we got to be able to close out games, but I take full responsibility for that.
A big disparity in free throw attempts tonight. Baylor shoots 25. You guys only 7, despite being in the bonus pretty early on in the second half. Do you kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity?
No, it definitely was a missed opportunity. We got to be able to capitalize on those opportunities when we can, so we didn't today.
Jaylin, is there anything you guys can take from today that you guys can improve on as you guys head against Oklahoma on Saturday?
It's kind of the same mistakes that we messing up on, putting two halves together, finishing out the game. So we basically keep repeating the same thing. We gotta break that little margin that we keep messing up on. So,
Are there any positive aspects of tonight's game that you're looking to build off of too?
we know that our strength is in our numbers, just being down 2 players, and also we've been in both of these games that we lost. So we just gotta be able to close them out.
What do you think is going to take for you guys to stop making the same mistakes that you say you guys are making?
Leadership. Everybody taking full responsibility of what's happening in the game, because at the end of the day, we are out there playing. You know, everybody likes to blame it on the coaches, but it's the players. It's us. We got to be able to close out the game. They can't come out there and play for us.
Anything else? Thank you, Jaylin.
Appreciate y'all.
Well, but you give Baylor a lot of credit. I thought they came in and played a really good basketball game. I'd heard a lot about their ability to shoot the basketball and watched a lot on tape. And they were better than I even saw on tape. They really shoot the ball well. They play the right way. They play hard. And like I said, I thought our young men fought hard, gave us a winning effort. I thought we had a chance at the end. And I thought closed the game out better than we did coming down the stretch. You know, coming down the stretch is pretty much anybody's ball game. I thought they made just a few more plays coming down the stretch than we did to close the game.
Second straight game is almost a similar scenario. You have a lead, and you're just, I know you're playing shorthanded and guys are winded and you're battling it out just to kind of see it slip away in the final minutes. What's the most frustrating thing, seeing games that look winnable but you just can't pull them out?
Well, we have to get better at ending the game, executing, as I mentioned before, with guys who hadn't been in those positions this year. And so we have guys that are in there now. They haven't been in those positions. They've been in the game and playing during first half and second half, but they really haven't been in coming down the stretch. And there's a difference. And I think they're learning that as we go through it and we're growing together. I think this game coming down the stretch actually is a little better than our last game versus Cincy coming down the stretch. So I see improvement. And that's what we have to do. We have to look at what can we do to keep getting better. We're working on those things. We'll continue working on them. And those guys will get more comfortable being in those roles coming down the stretch of the basketball game as we continue through league play.
Coach, quite the contrast at the free throw line. They're 20 of 25, including 17 of 21 in the second half. Your team 1 of 7. Talk about that.
Well, 1 of 7, we have to shoot them better. That's for sure. We have to shoot our free throws better. And then we have to do a better job of playing with more force so we put ourselves in position to get to the free throw line. They were able to put themselves in position. In the last couple games, we've been outshot at the free throw line by quite a bit. And we have to do a better job of finding ways to get there by like I said, playing with more force in positions where we can be fouled.
Baylor switched up their defense in the second half, played more zone. What do you think they did well on defense that kind of led to some of your offensive struggles in the second half?
Well, Baylor played the way they normally play. They mixed their defenses. They played multiple defenses, and they did. For us, I felt fine, whether we were in man or in zone. I thought our guys executed fairly well. I think the percentages, will bear that out. We shot 54% from the field, 52% from 3. So, offense wasn't really our issue. We have to defend better, taking away the three-point line, which is something that we had talked about doing, and we had to keep them off the line, which is something we talked about doing. In both areas, we fell short.
You guys had 16 turnovers, most of them coming in the second half. Do you feel like during that scoring drought where it was like around the 5-minute mark that you guys lost a little bit of composure?
Yeah, I do. I think those are things we have to do to close games, guys being in those positions that haven't been in those positions as much. Absolutely correct. Where, we're coming down the stretch. The thing you have to do down the stretch is now it's time for no mistakes. You can't turn the ball over. You need to make your free throws. You need to get stops. And so we turned it over too much coming down the stretch. But like I said, a few of those turnovers came from players that really weren't in those positions all season long, and they're in those positions. And these games are intense. Like I said, every single game is like a tournament game. And so there's a lot riding on each one of these games for all these teams. And so guys just have to get used to it. These guys, my players are definitely good enough to be able to make the plays that are necessary. They just have to get more comfortable and, like you said, be more composed.
Darius even admitted this week he's been off the last couple games, dealing with personal stuff. But he bounced back tonight. It seemed like he couldn't miss early on. 23 points, 10 assists. What did you think of his performance?
I thought he was terrific. I thought he did a really good job, not just scoring the ball, but leading us as well. Because as you mentioned, 10 assists, where he was also making connecting plays, making his teammates better. And that's what a good point guard does. So I was happy to see him, kind of, round back into form. And then he has to continue, like all of our players, continue to understand what we have to do down the stretch to close the game, to give ourselves the best chance to win. I thought they just closed the game better than we did coming down the stretch.
Johnny, how crucial is this game against Oklahoma on Saturday because of the loss tonight?
Very important. I mean, for us to stay in this race and keep competing, we need to win, especially protect our home court. And so, we lost this game, and now we have to figure out to find a way to beat another ranked opponent that's coming in here. So we know none of them are going to be easy, and we don't expect that. We just have to find a way to be successful, and we're going to start studying them tonight and find out what we have to do to give ourselves a chance to compete against Oklahoma.
In the final minute of the game, there was a moment where both you and the rest of the bench looked upset after, the ball went in. You guys then rolled it out of bounds and the clock never stopped. Can you talk about what happened there?
Yeah, the clock's under a minute. The clock should stop. And so, it was a bang-bang play, though, so I'm not sure. When I looked up there, it was like 50 and counting. So when I looked at the clock, it was like 58, 59, 57 and counting, and I'm like, the clock should be stopped right now. But it's a bang-bang play, which means if it went through the net at a minute and one or at a minute, then, of course, at a minute and one, then the clock's going to keep rolling until we do something with it. And that's what happened. So, I need to see it on tape to find out if I was correct or not. But, that's why we were upset, because the clock was going, and on that made basket, I'm thinking it should stop right away because it was under a minute.
Coach Drew was in here and said his team feels like they're 3 plays away from maybe being the number 1 team in the country. I'm sure you feel the same way with some of the losses that you guys have had. What does that say about how tight and narrow the kind of margin for error is between winning and losing in this conference?
It's a slim margin, that's for sure. As you can see with every single game, every opponent. And so I agree with Coach. I mean, we look at the same situation, the same games, and we see where we could be, and looking at a whole nother picture with just how we closed a few games. A record looks totally different. But, that's not what happened. So we have to find a way to turn it around now. We have to turn our fortune around and, regroup, and then we have to respond. That's what I've told our guys all season long, and that doesn't change. We have to regroup, and then we have to respond. I thought our guys came out tonight with a good effort, except, it needed to be 40 minutes in that 36. The bottom line. And so we have to play full 40-minute games in this conference to give ourselves a chance to win.
Late in the game, as you guys were attempting to rally, it was a tough call. Looked like Baylor was close to going to be a shot clock violation. Darius sort of, I know it's a tough call. What did you think of that play there and that call to that moment?
Tough call. Like I said, I'm not out there. Those guys, the officials have a tough enough job. And I realized that, people are coming at them from all sides. And, hate to see that kind of be a call that sends a young man to the line for 3 free throws in a 1-2 possession ball game. That's tough. And but, was there contact? I hadn't seen it yet. Probably was some contact, probably inadvertent. Probably before he took the shot. I would think it was before he took the shot, which means probably 1-1 at best, right? But I didn't, like I said, but I saw it in real time. I need to see it over again. So you can imagine how they're seeing it. The game is moving fast for them as well. So I never look at what their part that they play in the game for us. It's all about us. We don't put ourselves at risk, then nothing is called there. And so we put ourselves at risk, and that allowed something to happen.
First go through this league, how would you describe the learning curve of getting to know these teams?
Definitely, that's exactly what we're going through. Because I mean, everybody's new. I've been in the American for a while now. You know, in the Big 12, all these new coaches, different styles of play, different systems, different personnel, and so you're trying to learn exactly what they're doing to be successful. I think our staff has done an amazing job of that. You know, we started this summer and started to study these teams and trying to get a handle on what we were going to be up against, and pretty much everything that my staff has talked about and what we've been working on are things that apply to competing against these teams. We just have to be a little better than where we are right now, and we will. We're going to get better. You know, we're going to use these as learning experiences, and we're going to grow, and we're going to get better, and we're going to get better quickly.
You scout them, but still your players have to experience the
Yes.
moments with these teams.
Exactly. Our players, exactly. From their perspective, you're absolutely right. You know, coaches, I thought, did an amazing job. Our players are learning. It's a learning curve right now, playing against the talent that they have in this league. I mean, you play tonight. Well, you have two guys, I think projected first rounders in the draft tonight on that team. You have some experienced players that have had success in this conference over the years. I mean, everyone and every team is pretty much like that. So our guys are having to adjust to that. And like you said, there's a learning curve. But the one thing about our guys that I've really enjoyed is they've come out to compete no matter what and who they faced. They haven't let the names on the jersey or those players really just distract them or slow them down for doing the things that we need to do to try to be successful.
What were your thoughts on the flagrant that was called on Omar earlier in the second half that led to the? It was the on Ibrahima early in the second half that led to the 4 points on that possession.
I actually didn't see the play when it happened, and so I'm not sure. I need to see it on tape to find out exactly what happened. I'm sure it was contact, and I guess it depends on how the contact's initiated. It's going to either be a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. But I need to see exactly what happened to see if it was something that was warranted in that. But I'm sure it had to be some kind of contact for them to make that call.
You spoke about it briefly. Baylor has 2 first-round prospects, specifically their leading scorer, Jacoby Walter, and you guys limited him tonight, but Langston Love on the other end came out and scored 24 points. So how was it keying in on him but seeing other guys get open?
Exactly. We talked about it. We talked about Love over the last 5 games. He'd been playing, really, really well. He's been one of their leading scorers and been shooting over 50% from 3. So when we see that, we ID that player as someone that we have got to, know where he is at all times. And we lost him a few times. And every time we lost him, he made us pay. And those are things that we can't have, those kind of defensive breakdowns when you're playing against a scorer who's that hot, who's playing that well right now. All right, guys.
All right, thank you, Coach.